just drink from the fountain or drink from the pool.
Drink from the sidewalk, drink from the sewer. I went out. I would go out I have very, very clear memories of telling my parents, okay, I'm going out. And it would be around 4 o'clock after Zoom was on PBS. So 4 o'clock, I would go out. They were like, do you need $5? And I was like, I'll take $5.
5 ice pops.
No. In Queens, ice pops? Come on. In Queens, you either did one of two things. With $5, you got a slice and an Italian ice. Hi, everyone, and welcome back to Between Two Coaches. We're on a mission to destroy. I'm just kidding. Coach Nick just looks at me, so concerned.
It's like, what are we destroying?
We're taking down evil. We're taking down evil. No, we're here to make fitness more human. And that's what we're going to do today. The snark is actually baked into today's episode. It's not going to be sold separately.
Yeah, it's here. It's a part of it. You get both today for one low price of $3.99. Yeah, and I'm Coach Nick. Thanks for being here. Thanks for coming back. Thanks for joining us. So we have a great episode today. We are going to talk about fitness professionals, running coaches, coaches in general entering the industry, and sort of our advice, sort of our hot takes, sort of things we've noticed, things that you should be aware of if you are one of these, or things you should be aware of if you're a consumer of, fit professionals or coaches and what one. I think it'll be a fun topic. I think it's relevant because, everyone is one of these things this day, thanks to social media, and everyone is not quite following some of the things they should be. And it's a wild, wild west out there. What do you think, Amanda?
Well, I think that this conversation, we've touched upon this many times, where we see folks who have a passion for running, or they have a passion for working out, group fitness classes, Pilates, whatever it is. And they channel that passion and they're like, you know what? I love this so much that I should be a professional in this. I should become a personal trainer because I love working out. I should become a group fitness instructor because I love being in the front of a room. I should become a run coach because I can run fast and I have a really cute curated Instagram feed. You see how the slope just got really slippery really fast?
Yeah, and we'll dive into all of that. But first, Amanda, you sort of shared offline that you had a great week and you really wanted to kind of touch on some of those big moments. So I'm here to give you the platform.
Did I have heat stroke? I don't recall saying that.
Might have been. I don't know. Maybe it was a text message I misread. I don't know.
I don't think that is. So fun fact about me, anytime somebody asks like, how is your week? I just like immediately, in case you're new here, I just project it onto the next person. I'm like, I'm doing well. How are you feeling? And then I'll like just ask them a very specific thing so that they're forced to rant about their week.
Well, I like that. You flip it.
Yeah, I flip it. It's one of my tactics.
That's really great for a podcast host to really be able to flip it back on the other person. I love that technique.
So what I'm doing here in order to answer your question is I'm pulling up my Google Calendar just to see what
doing some research on your life. We love that. If you got to fact check your own life sometimes, so
I don't need anyone telling me she wasn't there at the time she said she was, because I live, you know how Coach Nick lived 1/4 mile at a time? Like Coach Amanda Coach Katz lives one Google Calendar event at a time. Today I've already done 5. I'm going on 6 with this recording. Okay, so this week.
You need an AI summary of your week. We're going to have to get that built in.
I had a facial, and just to give you this facial was gifted to me by my athlete in 2021.
Oh, that's nice.
So my skin got a facial. Okay, and then let's see what else I did. Hold on. Okay, acupuncture.
Oh man,
I
we're way.
voted early.
Hey, New York City needs your votes.
New York City. New York City needs your
Wild
votes.
time. You
It's
should probably vote.
crazy here.
Well, you should just do, just do that thing and vote because you might get stuck with something you're not excited
You're
about.
not great. Yeah, you're not so happy about. Okay, so that I did that. I early voted on Friday. And I a girly who worked in politics, and so while I don't partake in talking a lot about politics because everything bleeds can bleed into politics. It always makes me happy to exercise my voting. So I walk in there and I'm like, "Oh, I'm voting. I love it here."
Yeah.
And so I did that.
It actually
And then
matters at the lower levels. Like,
it
sometimes you
does.
live in a state and your vote for the presidential election doesn't matter. But at the lower levels, which more or less affects your life, it matters a
Yes,
lot. So
it
you
really
should.
does.
Even if you think your presidential vote doesn't matter because you're in a red state or a blue state, you're going to matter at your lower levels, and your life will change drastically because of those decisions. So always vote.
Get into the habit. That's my get into the habit of voting and be an informed, educated voter, not somebody who sees an influencer and the influencer's like, vote for Bumblebutt. And you're
Yeah.
like, I like Bumblebutt because influencer Nick says he likes Bumblebutt.
Yep. But that said, when you do vote, vote for us for podcast of the year. We wouldn't mind that vote.
Yes, we wouldn't
Nickelodeon
mind that.
one preferably because I want one of those blimps. So we gotta start the campaign for next year now to get Nickelodeon Choice Award.
Okay.
We
I
really
like the
relate to the
blimp.
kids too. So
I think that's, I don't remember. I've blacked out everything else. I don't know. How was
yeah,
your week?
it was great. It was greater than great. It was good. So yeah, a little bit of this, a little bit of that. Did some running. We went to the pool all weekend because we had a nice weekend for the first time forever. It didn't rain all weekend or cloudy
So
or
nice.
it was just hot. Yeah, but yeah. The pool was ready. I did some long runs, getting my long runs up for Marine Corps,
Hell yeah.
getting in workouts each week. So excited about some consistency. I just need a few more days and a few more miles, but they'll come. Got my skin cancer screening today. Go get yours. Never don't. Every year. Go well, unless your doctor says you don't need it every year, but
Go every
go at the
year.
frequency that your doctor tells you to go, but keep going at that frequency and don't miss it because it's important, especially for athletes who are outside. So, mine went well today, I think. So I passed. Good C plus. So yeah, that was good. Yeah, just living the summer camp dream all parents dream of, where you go to a different camp each week and you try to memorize when the pickup and drop off times are, and your kids are in different camps, and you pack a bag full of 400 things for camp, and you do it ever again the next day. So, yeah, camp, summer, fun times. But otherwise, yeah, it was great. Enjoying life.
Mm-hmm. That sounds nice. I do want to, I'm going to add one thing because one thing to my week that I didn't touch upon because
Surprising.
shout out to Paisley because Paisley was listening to the podcast today and she was loved the episode with Kristen. She simply loved it. She didn't say she loved it. I'm just assuming she did because
She did.
she
Yeah,
listened
she
to
had to.
half of it and
Yeah.
then on her ride home she listens to the other half. So if you don't like something, you obviously DNF. That's what you do when you don't like something. She liked it a lot and very much so. She actually asked me if the silent book club was real. I don't think people can tell if I'm joking or not.
We know.
It is, and I had my second meeting last night and it was glorious.
Are there like, do you have like film of it that we can see?
No, I don't. Mm-mm, mm-mm. You're just gonna have to take my word
Well, we
for it.
don't trust you, honestly. We think this is all a
That's
lie.
better for me if you don't trust me, actually.
Yep.
That's my skincare
Or I'll
routine.
just come up and I'll just go to it next time.
No, 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 no. I don't want anyone I know at my chapter's book club. I don't
Change
want
book clubs if someone showed up.
I want you there. It's book club anonymous for me.
Well, thanks, Paisley, for listening. We appreciate it, and I hope you gave us you
She's the
enjoyed
only
it.
one listening right now. She's the only.
It's okay. We keep it running for one person.
I'm just kidding. We would,
No,
and she's the one.
you're
She's the
all
one.
all you who are here are the ones though. So we
That's right.
appreciate all of you. Thanks for hanging with us, Amanda. That sounds like we wrapped up our weeks
Very well done.
well with a bow and a
12 out of 10. So, Coach Nick, we wanted to, you, and by you, I mean we wanted to talk a little bit more about what we just teased in the beginning of the episode. So, let's dive right in. Based on your observations, okay, so last night I sent a little text message to my bestie Nick, and I was like, Nick, I've been alerted to the fact that are certain influencers turned coaches whose new business practices are infiltrating our runners and our
yeah,
fitness enthusiasts. And one of them is that they're leaving their jobs, right? So the influencers are entering the space and they are runners or they are fitness personalities, whatever they want. And they're seeing their follower count go up and they're seeing their likes and their shares go up and they're using the trending audios and they're running a fast 5K one time and they are 28 to 32 and a half years old and sometimes 24 to 32 and a half and they're like, wow, I'm getting some traction. I love this so much that I should get paid to do this.
yep. We want to get paid.
We want to collect that coin. So let me sit through a 48-hour certification. If that,
If that.
if that. If not, just call yourself a coach. There's no regulatory body. Just put it
Nutrition.
in your Instagram
I'm a nutrition
bio.
coach right now. I eat food.
You are.
Ready to go.
Once I held a spoon today. So I'm also a
Also,
nutrition coach.
we're pivoting. We're also a nutrition podcast. You heard it here.
You heard it here first and you heard it here last.
Yeah. So yeah, they're doing yes. So let's back up a tiny bit. So as someone who's left his job, as Amanda does this for professionally. We're not knocking anyone, and this will be hot takes and also professional advice, right? Like things that we've noticed in our careers. But like I think when it comes to coaching, in a nutshell, I think it's there's ways to do things and there's ways not to do things that sort of bleed on that line. Like, you think of cold calling, right? Like as something like businesses might do to sell a product. You always hear it with those movies about stocks and cold calling people to sell their stocks or their insurances or whatever, right? Like that's no, we don't love it, but like that's part of that business is to push a product, right? And so when you're coaching, you are the product, right? You are the service. And, it feels a little disingenuous when you are sort of blanketing your offers to like cold call people or show up in random people's DMs or do things, to try and get seen. Man and I both have, we both work for a company that you can find us and work with us if you want to find us that way. You can find us on Instagram, and we both, I think, have interest forms. So if you wanted to reach out and be associated or work with me, you just fill an interest form, right? Those are things I've set up so people could work with me or just DM me or whatever you want. Like I am not out. I mention I'm a coach. I talk about coaching. I've marketed myself, my marketing as a coach, where it is about the athlete and helping them, isn't like making it about me to reach out to you in sort of borderline unethical. It's not unethical. Borderline.
It's inauthentic.
That's the word.
Yeah, it feels like there's some, and it's interesting because anytime that I've had openings in my roster for either personal training clients, one-on-one consults, runners, I'll make either a post or I'll have an Instagram story, but I'm not going to beat you in the head to hire me. for a number of reasons. One, that's not effective. That's not an effective strategy. And two, when somebody wants to take their fitness journey to the next level, as long as they know you are available, even if you're not, they will reach out to you and say, I would love to connect with you once you do have availability. Okay. If somebody wants to work with you, they will do that. Right. So if you're a coach listening to this, there are different approaches and philosophies. There's more aggressive, there's more passive. What I will tell you is that I've been doing this for a long enough time to know, and somebody who I have a full roster of people who work for me. I'm not with me. I'm not looking for more clients. That not a single person has ever said to me, how many followers do you have, when they hired me? Not a single person has been because I have DM'd them and said, I'm looking for two runners to take them to the next level. Are you interested in being one? I have not done that on that approach. Can it work? I'm sure it can, and it does, because otherwise people wouldn't continue to do it. But the inauthenticity is that that's more quantitative than qualitative. That you now just want bodies to pay you. And yes, it's a job, but that feels a little icky to me. And it feels even ickier to find out that some of these folks who want to have people on their roster, the people that they're reaching out to, they via social media, they don't even communicate with on social media. They don't follow them. They don't know anything about them. So if you are somebody who is interested in working with a trainer, you're also working with, and we talk about this every episode when we start our episode. Welcome to Between Two Coaches. We want to make fitness more human. That really takes a lot of the humanity out of the relationship required for a successful client to coach partnership.
Yeah. I mean, that's coaching is that, right? Like I know we talked a couple weeks about, AI generated apps and things like that being coaching. And, our stance again is that that is training plan. That's not coaching, right? Coaching is this human relationship between, a coach and an athlete, right? And so you are skirting that line. Like there's a difference between marketing yourself and saying I do have availability. It doesn't matter, and maybe your post blows up somehow, and you're telling everyone and people you don't even know. That's different than like going specifically targeting people who don't know you or even follow you, or you follow them, and you're like, work with me. I have openings. Like no, like that's not. Just feels disingenuous. It doesn't feel like you're making the athlete matter,
Mm-hmm.
and you're putting a bad rap on coaches and coaching in general. That is feels like it is just some guerrilla marketing tactic to get people, trick people to work with you for money. When a lot of us coaches, sure, we do this for a job, but we do this because we want to help people too, right? And we skirt that line of like it's a business, but it's a service based business where there's a person on the other end who I do want to help. Like
Right.
I do care if they feel loved and supported, and they reach their potential, even though I can't make that happen, but I'm rooting for them and I'm on their journey and I'm helping them through the moments. I care, right? Coaches care. And you are getting off on the wrong foot by doing these types of things. You as a coach will stand out and you will get people by being yourself, right? I've had people do coach calls with me in the last 6 months and talk about it's a little hard to sort of start from the ground up these days because of the landscape of social media, some of these AI generated apps, all this stuff. And what I always tell people is, you know, people want to work with you because right? Because you show that you care, because you show that you understand things because of the person you are, right? Not because you're an influencer, not because you have a lot of followers, not because you get a lot of likes and views, but because of the person you are, right? Your identity, whether you're a mom, or a dad who has kids, that some people relate to that and want that, whether you're someone who's dealt with trauma or been through things in
Mm-hmm.
your journey, share those things and people will relate to those and people will see you on your journey. I think one of the things I always hear people relate with me is that I ran at a very high level in high school and college and post collegiately. And now I've taken the time to sort of understand every level of running. And, not a lot of people have taken the time to do that. They sort of stay in their wheelhouse. So I just want to work with, faster runners who run this time because that's what I was. And
Hmm.
so make your identity what it is, what you care about, but be authentic about it, and people will find you, right? You just need to be yourself, and you need to be patient, and the right people will find you, and then the word of mouth when you work with them will share you further.
What we also see in the fitness industry are folks who come on because they have a passion for the modality, as I was saying earlier. And so they're like, this, because I have this passion, um, I can kind of use it as a pseudo qualification. So you may have heard the phrase, my body is my business card, or if you wanted to relate it to the running world, my finishing time is a qualification. And that, first of all, Coach Nick and I have discussed this, are fantastic coaches, personal trainers, instructors who do not fit the aesthetic of fitness. And that's all it is. It's not actual fitness, it's the aesthetic of fitness. Furthermore, just because you are talented in fitness and running does not make you equipped to support a person through their journey. And I think that if you're listening to this and you're somebody who is interested in either hiring a trainer, hiring a coach, or even just simply attending a class with a fitness professional, just like any other industry, recognize that there's a spectrum. There are folks who are really invested and dialed into their people, and you can you almost don't need to even hear them. You can feel it because of the community that they've fostered. And then there are folks that, of course, they're fine. They exist in the middle. You need fine people. You need average people in every industry, right? They make the worlds go round. And then you have the bad apples. And I think what's happening is because we are in an age of social media where there's too much weight on the visual and the aesthetic and the metrics tied to that, whether it's views, followers, engagement, brand deals. People are confusing those bright and shiny items with experience, credentials, and an actual skill in working with a person through their journey.
Yeah. And like a lot of people try and use their finishing times or running results as it, and you could even go further and be like, well, why would I hire you? Why don't I just hire your coach? If you have a coach,
Right.
like then that's the person who knows, right? That aside, even if you're coaching yourself, right? Like I think what people lose track of is you're a coach, and a coach isn't necessarily about like the training log is a part of it, and sure you may understand the science of sport and you may understand how to program. What happens when things go haywire? Like, how are you communicating to your athlete? How are you supporting them? Because that's what happens, right? We don't just write a plan. I don't just sit down and go, okay, your marathon is 16 weeks. Here's your 16-week plan that I've carved perfectly. And every single week balances perfectly. And we're getting more volume and more threshold and marathon. And all is just, here's a neat bow. Here's your plan. I'm your coach, go. And then they run every week and hit every workout. Maybe they don't hit the paces, but they just fit in every run. Nothing comes up in life, and they just blow through the whole thing. And they get to race day and they crush it. It's not how training works at all. The second I write second we write the training log, it's already messed up and being adapted and changed because something happened in life and they're like, oh, can I move Tuesday, Wednesday? Okay, well, if I were to perfectly craft a schedule that needed a Wednesday rest day and all of a sudden they moved, it might throw the whole plan off. Right now they're doing the workout on Wednesday. Well, that's not enough time before Friday's workout. Anyway, so like just because you're smart, just because you run fast and you even if you know what workouts to do, the real science of coaching is the human relationship, right? Like,
Mm,
can you communicate with someone? Are you going to support them through the stuff that happens? You can't fix their problems. You can listen. You can know what's going on in their life. You have to know what's going on in their life, and you can adapt their plan, right? If you don't
right.
know what's happening, and all of a sudden they're struggling for a month, and then you finally figure it out, you weren't either two things, right? Yes, your athlete should communicate, but you may have not set up a channel that they felt comfortable communicating with. Again,
Mm,
and also like maybe you weren't even reaching out or giving a place that that communication could occur, right? So, when we talk to new, coaches and we're talking about mentoring and how to be a good coach. Don't get so caught up in, well, I run fast, or I can run this time, or I know how to program workouts, because that's going to make up so little of it. You're going to put down these 3 weeks of training. That's what I do at a time. And then you're going to have to adapt it. And you're going to have to listen. You're going to have to know what's going on, and place and have ways to get information from your athletes and then adjust, right? Whether you're a
Mm,
fitness professional, whether you're a coach, running coach, whatever it is, you are involved in someone's life at more than just the numbers and the law. And
hmm.
so, if you're looking to be a better coach and get in this industry, stand out by showing you care. Stand out by showing you can communicate. Stand out by showing you're different than someone who's just here to say, "I guarantee you, you'll run a BQ with me, or you'll break three with me." Like, again, that you can't get. If a coach guarantees that, run away. That then we
That's a red
can't
flag.
guarantee these things to you. I don't care. I've coached many people to do OTQ, BQ, sub 3. I can't guarantee anyone's going to do it. I say I'll be on your team to help you chase the whatever goals you want, and that sounds like a reasonable goal, but I'm not going to say, yeah, I'll definitely get you it. Like, that's a lie. So don't do that stuff when you're entering the industry just because it feels like it's easy wins or makes you stand out. Those are the wrong kind of standing out, and it will bite you in the
It will. And maybe not in the end. It'll bite you
beginning.
halfway through.
Yeah, right now, this second.
So you mentioned that you spoke to you've talked to a lot of folks who are interested in entering the industry, and when they come to you, what do you find is their biggest concern?
Yeah, they're worried about how to find athletes. They're worried about the saturation of how many coaches there are and how limited their voice is, because usually your biggest way of marketing, they think, is always through social media, right? And so, and they're like, well, I don't have a lot of followers, and these accounts have more followers. And then this account may share that I have 800 people on a wait list, and they get worried that they're going to get lost in the sauce, and they're looking at the wrong things, right? Like, I don't care if someone has an 800 person wait list, whether they do or not. I don't know if I believe it, but even if they do, I don't care, because people on the wait list want a coach. So if you
Yes.
show that you're a good enough coach, they'll go off that wait list and they'll go get another coach. So who cares? Like, having a giant wait list is just another thing that people with lots of followers want to brag about. Doesn't really matter. All those people on that wait list probably have moved on. They're not going to sit here and wait for
Yeah.
3 years for an influencer to coach them, when there's if they find quality people around, they will find them. So worrying about your following count doesn't really matter. Me and Amanda don't have a ton of followers compared, and we have a ability to find athletes when we want, because when we show up on social media, people see this, and they're usually waiting to say, "Oh, you have openings, or I do want to coach. Let me reach out." Right. So create a community, and create it two ways. Like, share yourself a little bit, because people want to get to know you, but share like your knowledge, share your experience, and share what you do as a coach, right? Share how you'll be different, share what your expertise is. Have some sort of area that is important to people. Like, you can't be a coach that knows everything. I'm not a woman. There's things I don't know about being a woman. I can learn them in books and learn them in experience, but I'm not going to be like, oh, I'm a mother runner coach and I understand it. I don't. I understand how to be a parent. I understand. I work with moms. I know how to support them, but I don't understand everything about being a mom and being a runner. So I'll never pretend like that's my niche or that's what I can specialize in. And, I think a lot of them get caught up in worrying about social media as the only way of marketing. Like, we all live in communities, right? If you run, you live either near a city, near a town, near something that probably has a running store, that probably has runners. So you don't always have to just jump and go, I want to capture social media. Why don't you capture your community? Why don't you go to a local running store and be like, hey, I'm a coach? Or, can you put my name up? Can you put my business card up? Can you just put my information up when people ask for a coach? Because where local runners go to? They also might go to their local running store and say, I'd like a coach, because they're not on social media, or maybe they don't know these people, or maybe they want someone more local to them. You can go to group runs and mention you're a coach. Again, not, hey, I should coach you because it looks like you're a runner. Don't do that, but just be involved in your community, and you can capture people at a local level, right? That's a good place to start before trying to tackle every single person on social media all around the United States or globe, right? So I try and help, I try and capture people and tell them there are ways to market yourself. There are ways to find athletes. There's plenty of runners for everyone at this time. And,
Hmm.
really just make sure you show how you're different and you understand what coaching is. Because even if it feels quite often that people on social media are leaning towards coaches that you feel don't understand coaching, at the end of the day, People are finding their ways to coaches who do understand it, who do
Yes.
are similar to how they feel, right? Even if they make the mistake and early on, they'll find their way to the right coach or to coaches. So don't lose hope that everyone is like getting snagged up by bad people. Coaches, people care about their money too. They're not going to throw their money away and light it on fire with someone who's not supporting them for too long.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. At the end of the day, as Nick says, at the end of the day, people want to feel seen, heard, understood. They want to work with somebody who they can relate to. And when I think about, I'm just taking like a snapshot in my mind of the individuals I work with, many of whom I've worked with throughout the course of my entire career. I feel good about that retention rate. Very few of them are active actually on social media. And that's my business was built on word of mouth and being good to the people I work with. And then those people tell their cousins and their sisters and their nieces and their nephews. I have an athlete who I work with, her and her daughter and her nephew and
Hey,
her husband's taking my class. It's all in the family, right? So it's like um, there are bad actors everywhere. And I also think it's important to note that if you are somebody looking for a coach or you have a coach right now, let's say you have a coach right now that is not a good fit for you, that's okay. You are not married to this person. You can leave this person. Even if you look, even if you sign like something that says that you have a certain amount, a certain a commitment, because coaches have to do this to protect themselves. If you don't, in the group fitness world, we say if you don't teach, you don't eat. Right? It's the same thing with coaching. Like you need systems in place to protect yourself. So if you sign an agreement that says like you need to cancel within this amount of time, understand that the coach is trying to protect themselves, right? But at any point, you can put money aside for that short period of time that you decide you want to leave and say, you know what, this isn't right for me, and this relationship isn't good for me, and take a little break and shop around and schedule phone calls and interact with people who you connect with, maybe online, maybe social media is a channel for you to, and see who's a better fit for you. But take it as an opportunity to understand, like, you know what, I learned a lesson in this coaching relationship. And the lesson was that I don't like that style of communication. I need more of this. I need less of that. And I'm going to take that with me into my next relationship. In the same way that you would when you're dating or if you're hiring a therapist or what have you. You know, it's to expect to get it necessarily right on the first personal trainer you hire or the first coach you hire. You'd have to get really lucky. And maybe you will. Maybe you'll hire Coach Nick and then, you know, you're stuck with him for 40 years. Maybe that's what happens. Okay? Maybe that's what
yeah, it
it
could
is.
happen. You said I always say this to athletes. Athletes are investing their time, their goals, and their money into a coach, and they want a coach who invests back, right? And so, I think we've talked about this on this podcast. There was a time when coaches were, here at the top, and you just listen and did what they said, and that was a coaching relationship, right? Because they had all the knowledge, and you were just the person, and you would follow,
Mm-hmm.
and they would give you some advice, and you would do it, and then you would might succeed because of that. A lot of people don't want that. Like a lot of people want more of an investment in a relationship, right, with their coaches, and and that's okay. Like I think we aren't therapists, right? There is a line, therapists probably, if your therapist is your best friend, you probably should get a new therapist because that's a problem. But that can't be that case. That the world needs this line of delineation. For coaches and athletes, there can be a friendship, there can be a relationship. I mean, people want someone who's on the team and you know part of it, right? So, if you want to set yourself apart, show that like, yes, we all coaches, we have, our communication rules and, business rules and those things like that. But at the same time, like as a coach, like make sure you stick to your boundaries, but also like know when to show up too. Like sometimes my athletes have something traumatic happen in their life and they might find a $10 Starbucks gift card in their text message just to show like this is like the Starbucks because I don't know what else to send to people all over the state, but like something in there like to show like, hey, I understand this is tough or this is crappy or like here, like I can't fix this for you because it's like in your life, but like here, I'm on your team, I'm with you, right? Like we're a team, right? Those little things make a huge difference, right? It shows that like you're a human being too, and you're not some sort of robot who has no emotions because you have to not show them in front of your athlete. Like you can be there, but you also need to know when to show up and be the coach, right? To be, to motivate them, to help them if they're going to funk and they're not getting runs in. Well, how do you communicate? Well, you got to learn, right? You can't just be like, you're missing all your runs, you're screwing up your fitness, you're never going to reach your goals. Maybe one athlete likes that. What about your other, 39 who hate that? You're going to, so how do you, as you're building out who you are as a coach, like think of the things in your life, think of coaches you've had, and not even coaches, think of leaders, think of bosses, think of
Mm.
things in your life that have shown you like that you matter, that have shown you, that have stood out and made you feel different. Because a coach is a leader, right? And yes, it's not like a boss at work who can fire you, but like it's, in the same sense, your coach is leading you and is on your
To be
team.
fair, you can. I've
No,
fired.
but like it's different if a coach fires you versus you lose your job, right? I mean,
Right.
that's what I meant.
One
Yeah,
might
yeah.
think it is. It's true. It's true.
Yes, the relationship
That's a
between the
good
athlete
point.
and coach shouldn't feel like your boss. And some people feel that way and they want to listen
I
and they want
know.
to, I don't want to upset my coach. I didn't want to message you. I hear quite often, but like some traumatic stuff happened in my life. And I'm like, no, no, like it's
I
okay. Like
gotta know. Yeah,
even if
yeah.
it's on the weekend, like I'm okay if I want to know, like I'll read it. Like I think people are trying to like I know there's a lot of communication out there, but if you send a text and like I don't want to read it right away, I won't read it or respond. But like
Right.
if I need that
People can
information,
set their own boundaries
yeah,
as
and
adults.
you can send like you can say like, hey, all these things happen in my life and like my life's on fire and send it on a Sunday. And maybe I need that information to make your log. And maybe I've asked you and don't feel like you're overstepping my boundaries. Like because I don't have to respond, but I might want that information to help you. And maybe if it's really I might want to respond and be like, hey, I'm here. That sucks. That's hard, right? So, yes, we have rules and we might say we don't communicate on these days, but it doesn't mean you can't send information that's relevant, right? My foot is broken. Should I run tomorrow? I'd hope we all have problem solving skills to know no. So I picked an extreme scenario. Maybe like, oh, I have this soreness for a week. Should I run tomorrow? It hurts every time I put weight on it, or hurts every time I, shift weight from one foot to the other. Should I run tomorrow? And I might be like, red flag, no, go see a people like, and you might not know that's a red flag, right? So sometimes you can share with your coach. And so at the same time, as a coach, like set up your rules, but like also sometimes you can step outside those boundaries to support people because this is a
Yes.
relationship, right? And it is okay to do that. We are not
Yes.
robots and your athletes will appreciate it and that will show up more. It's how you show up in the moments, right? The day-to-day stuff that matters and that builds that relationship, but it's how you show up in the moments. Like we talked about recently, like, a bad race. Don't shy away as a coach after a bad race because you think the athlete's going to blame you. If they do blame you, okay. But like you're still responsible for taking care of them and supporting them when they have a bad race. So reach out still. And if they're like, oh, our training was shit, like you did all this, they're lashing out and that's okay. And you don't have to take it. But like, a conversation can happen sooner where everyone calms down and talks. But like to ignore someone at their bad race makes it feel like you're the athlete's alone, right? Same thing how athletes feel when they're injured. They feel alone. Don't disappear from an athlete when they're injured. Show up, still reach out. Even if they're not working with you, still reach out if they're on a break. Those things matter.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's what people will remember. That's ultimately what will be remembered is how you made your athlete feel and how you made that person feel. Anything else that you feel like is worth noting, either from the athlete who wants to hire a trainer or a coach, or somebody who wants to enter the industry?
Yeah, do it for the right reasons. Like if you're being a coach, if you want to join the industry, do it for the right reasons. Like don't just feel like I have to monetize my following and I'm a coach, right? Don't do that. Like, really want to be a coach because it shows, and you won't last long, and you will find the wrong athletes, and you will have issues and problems, and it will weigh on you. And people are upset if you're not in it, if you're not following up. It is not. It's not just simple. Like being a good coach takes time and effort, and it is a job. it takes time and you should be there. You need to read their comments and their logs. You want to review their data. You want to make sure you're giving them adequate workouts. You want to make sure they're listening too. And so they may say, I don't want to do that workout. And you have to compromise. So there's involvement here too. Don't just do it because you're like, I have a lot of followers, I need to make money. There's many ways to make money with your followers. Go be creative. Maybe create a program that you can sell. Maybe make some sort of group coaching program that's not just coaching, but like some mentorship or something you want to give. Like sell yourself in something that means to you, not just coaching seems simple. I don't need a degree. I don't need to invest anything. I already have followers. I'll just be their coach and I'll just give them the same workouts I get from my coach or some workouts I found online. Don't do that. Like you will, like you're ruining the industry. You're not being, you're not being honest to yourself. And the athlete's the one who suffers, right? So we're just making runners upset and sad and sort of like making it worse for them in this world. So, you know, again, do it for the right reasons. Don't just become a coach because you hit 25,000 followers and then become a strength coach because you hit 50,000. Now you're both. And at 75, you become all three, and then, soon when you're 100, maybe you add a fourth one in. I don't know what that would be. But yeah, like don't just keep adding services to yourself because you gain more followers, even things you don't want to do.
Hmm. Yeah, you end up presenting not only your something that you were passionate about, but your job. And it's just that's a losing game.
For everyone.
Everyone involved. If I were somebody who was interested in hiring a trainer or a coach at this stage in my journey, I was ready to take my journey to the next level. The things that I would look out for would be if how this person communicates, if in the initial conversation I feel as though I was being listened to. That's very important. I would look at what is included in my training with this individual, whether that is a personal trainer, is it just that one personal training session and then we kind of go our separate ways until the following week, or if it's more comprehensive with qualifications, right? So, something that comes up a lot in my job, I get a lot of people who come to me after they've had nightmare personal trainers or run coaches. And when I say nightmare, I mean either they say to their athlete or my current client, but their ex client, we're not going to have you doing split squats because you have big legs. You shouldn't eat X, Y, and Z because it's going to go straight to your abs, right? Things like that. Or even worse, like they're writing meal plans with confidence, but they hold no credentials or experience in that area, but they're able to sell it. So they're making coin off of something that, like, really Coach Nick and I can, like, more so Nick, because if y'all follow him on Instagram, you've seen the meals that he puts out. These are the kinds of things that, like, we could just write down and send to you. Like, these are not, these nightmare stories happen and they are still happening. I thought that we got rid of a lot of them, but I'm finding that they're not, and they're actually just more apparent now that these people have platforms to sell these services, being social media. So just be mindful of what they are offering, what they're qualified to offer. And I would also look at, if this is somebody who has any sort of social media presence, see how they talk about the people who they work with. And do they speak about them as though, do they only talk about them when they're winning? When they've lost the weight, when they've PR'd the race? Are they rooting for people throughout every stage of their journey? These are green flags.
And how they write that post, right? Like, are they saying,
Yes.
I helped Johnny run a 3 hour marathon, or Johnny ran a 3 hour marathon, and had this amazing training block and not making it about themselves? Like, you can
Yes.
read two posts and you can see when someone made it about themselves as the coach that they did this and their athlete did it too, or the athlete did it and I was just there, right? I was just a part of the team. If you don't need to take credit, you already have credit. Like your athlete's giving you credit. Social media knows you're the damn coach. You don't have to tell everyone I did this, but people still need to beat that drum. So watch those posts. That tells you a lot when a coach is like, I did this. I coached 300, BQs. I coached 700 OTQs, whatever it is. Like I did this. I did this. You know, even if they're their brand, we, the brand, did this. Again, you didn't do anything. The athlete did it. You just on their
Yes.
team. So you can say, this company we've had, anyway, watch how they write about their athletes. It tells you
Mm-hmm.
everything.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and ask questions, right? Like the things Amanda just mentioned. Like when you go to a discovery call with a coach, or you figure out a fitness professional or whatever, ask questions. Just like we were always told to ask questions in interviews, it matters. Ask questions of your coach. If you've already done your research and they've answered all the questions during the call, and you already looked up all the stuff you need to, and you don't have questions because you're ready to go, that's fine. But if you're getting a coach and you want to ask stuff and you want to know things, ask those questions. Ask questions just to learn, to see how they'll react. How would they support you? Like, how are we gonna work together? Like, how does this relationship work? Those are questions that are fine. If your coach doesn't know how to answer them to the way you want, red flag already. You've gotten there. You don't have to
Mm.
wait your, commitment. And
Don't
to
have to
commit,
spend enough time.
yeah, and to commitments earlier, like you mentioned, I just wanted to say, sometimes they're like 4 or 5 month commitments. I know it sounds like a long time. That's like the time to establish a relationship together too. Don't forget there's a lot of work early on from a coach to learn an athlete and an athlete to learn a coach. So, protects the coach, but it also just protects the opportunity to see us work. Sometimes I've had athletes think, wow, Nick is giving me such easy workouts in the first month. Like, I don't know if this is right. And then by the fourth or fifth month, they're like, oh my God, I'm dying. Like, this is so hard, or like, this is just perfect and things are going well. So like it's also to give chance like for everyone to kind of mold and see if it works. Obviously, if it's miserable from the start, that's a different story. But
Mm-hmm.
like, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think we did it.
We did.
Yeah.
We
This
did.
is a
I
good
think
topic.
we're
It's fun.
I it's a yes, yes, we had a good time with this one. Well, thank you. Thank you everyone for joining us. We hope you enjoyed this episode. Subscribe to us on YouTube. Make sure that if you have not already rated us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, 5 stars would be a beautiful thing to give. We also have our Patreon channel. We're going to be recording another Patreon this week. So definitely want to, yeah, that's a great way to support us. And as Nick said earlier, otherwise this podcast is free 99, but the Patreon is a way to get back to Coach Nick and Coach Amanda. Speaking of, I think by this time next week I'll have some Crank Sports product in their new packaging.
Oh,
It is hot. You are running. Crank Sports supports the pod by giving you a discount code. B as in between, two, the number two coaches with a C. B2C. Use that at checkout. You get some money off. You support our podcast, and it's a win win win. Reach out to us at any time, between two coaches at gmail.com or on our Instagrams, and we'll see you next time.
I